That's what politics is. That's what propaganda is. It's part of who we are. We are storytellers. What is propaganda? I've talked mostly about propaganda on this show. Disinformation, psychology of it. What is propaganda? At its core, what is it? It's a political fiction, an ideological narrative, story time. If it's effective, it's based on fact. If it's really good propaganda, it's based on something true. So the people consuming it, the people exposed to it, can't tell if it's true or false. Now, we've been at this. We've been basking in electronic propaganda for decades. Ellul wrote about this in 1965. The electronic stuff he was talking about back then was radio, over-the-air television, 3 networks. How many we got now? How has the internet and social media made it worse and worse and worse and worse and worse? People are confused, they're lost, they have no idea who to believe because they're inundated in competing propagandas 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, depending upon how often they fondle their phone. That's where this took me, probably in January or February. I knew this was coming. Now, this isn't new. This wasn't like an epiphany, okay? I have to be clear here, give myself a little credit. I was like, oh my God, no, I should have seen this. I did see it coming. I talked about it back in 2019. I've talked about it probably in 2018 as well. And it's one of the things that really, really disturbed me. In fact, the episode I'm thinking of, I don't remember which one it was, but one of the things that disturbed me when I was digging through the Ellul material in 2019 was that he's like, yeah, people need it. People want it. They can't do without it. They're never going to do without it. I'm like, what the fuck, man? No. You're completely destroying the premise of my podcast. What are you doing? We can fight this. Oh, we're better than this. All we need to do is understand it. This is my thumb. This is my butthole. That's what I was thinking. And when I thought about it, I started thinking about storytelling. I think about height. Some of the stuff he was talking about, post hoc rationalization, post hoc reasoning, writing a story to fit the emotive conclusion, the emotive response to something. Then I thought about Ellul again, how propaganda provokes that emotive response. It's a planned emotive response, an intended response, an inseminated emotive response into the recipient. And then the recipient takes it from there, the emotive conclusions, the emotive rationalization, post hoc reasoning that goes on after the fact. I have to make... How is that done? Story. We tell a story. We write an immediate fiction to rationalize it, to justify it, and keep us in a position of righteousness, at least in our own head, self-righteousness. So, once I saw this, and once I had that nail sort of beaten into my head again, I went and bought a few books. I have some books. And I bounced back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I have not podcasted, sorry. My reason for not podcasting in the last several months has not been for lack of material. I have entirely too much material. Way too much. I have no idea how to put it the fuck together at this point. But I went and bought a couple of books. Gottschall was one of them, one of the authors. The Storytelling Animal was one. The Literary Animal, that's another one. And the Storytelling Paradox, or the Story Paradox. I started reading these books, though. And everything started to make even more sense. Everything through the storytelling prism, through that eyeball, makes perfect sense. It's the only thing that does. It doesn't end well. We're retribalizing. We're breaking off into these old school, old style bands and sects. We're going from this super society, 300 million people, supposedly bound by nationality and a common, agreement on philosophy, at least as far as the rule of law and freedom and all this other stuff goes. We're starting to splinter off into sects, bands, little groups. Mutually exclusive groups, all with their own foundational myth. Justice, the god of cosmic justice, will save us. Ugh. Freedom, America. Ugh. Guns, God, guns, and, gonorrhea. whatever the other one is. Understanding it, just simply understanding what it is, doesn't help. It doesn't do a damn thing. Other than it's like understanding why your tumor went from your lung to your kidney. Yeah, great, understand it. I'm still stage 4, right? But there is a certain freedom in that. And I think that, I don't know, is there a freedom in that? I think so. I don't know. Maybe it's just me with the thumb in the butt thing again. As far as being curious and like an intellectual explorer, perhaps, or maybe one of those warriors of self-awareness. Someone who's introspective, wants to understand himself, understand the species a little bit better. Maybe there's something noble down there. It's just not anything that's going to be practically useful. Because it's been monetized, it's been weaponized. Storytelling and propaganda has been monetized. It's been weaponized. And it's everywhere, and people will not give it up. They won't give it up. The one thing about these political narratives, these political stories, these propagandas, is that it's incredibly easy. Stop me if you've heard me say it before. It's incredibly easy to see it at play and at work in the other guy. In somebody you don't like or somebody you disagree with, it's incredibly easy to see competing propaganda. But you will never, ever, 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 ever see it at work on you. It's universal. It's obvious. There is nothing in this world more self-evident than that. You put a woke flake down in front of Fox News and watch. Put a camera on them. Put it up on YouTube. You'll get 100,000 views, man. It'll be hilarious. Maybe do some commentary on it. And then you do the same thing with a Hannity viewer. Put them in front of MSNBC or CNN. And they might burst into flames too. Why do you suppose that is? Why do they both react the same and predictably? Because they're both propagandas. They're both right. They both see the other guy's bullshit for what it is. But you take Mr. Wokeflake and put him down in front of Rachel Maddow or Joy frickin' Reid. She ain't gonna see it. No. You put Bubba down in front of Hannity or Tucker, you won't see it. He's just speaking truth, is he? You sure? It's their story. It's the story they choose to believe. I have a piece right over there somewhere in one of these piles of crap on my big old desk over there. Can you see the desk? Yeah, you can see it. Right there. Bunch of stuff. I got a piece in there called Belief Kills Truth. If you believe something, you're still absent truth. Once you get comfortable with it, and once you've found your place at the center of the universe and righteousness in God's glorious army in a battle against evil, once you found yourself there, you become addicted to it. You love it. Who doesn't like feeling righteous? Who doesn't like feeling like they found Jesus, that they found the holy army in this glorified crusade against evildoers? Who doesn't like that feeling? Everybody does. And once you're there, you've stopped searching for the truth because you think you've found it. You already believe you found truth. When in fact, what you found is something that makes you feel good about yourself. What you found is narcissism. And you've mistaken that for idealism.